being dates and water. His family would go hungry many nights successively because they could not get anything to eat in the evening. He slept on no soft bed but on a palm mat after a long busy day, to spend most of his nights in prayer, often bursting with tears before his Creator to grant him strength to discharge his duties. As the reports go, his voice would get choked due to weeping, and it would appear as if a cooking pot was on fire and boiling had commenced. On the day of his death, his only assets were a few coins, a part of which went to satisfy a debt, and the rest was given to a needy person who came to his house for charity. The clothes in which he breathed his last had many patches. The house from where light had spread to the world was in darkness because there was no oil in the lamp, consistent unto death. Circumstances changed, but the Prophet of God did not. In victory or in defeat, in power or in adversity, in affluence or in diligence, he was the same man, disclosed the same character. Like all the ways and laws of God, prophets of God are unchangeable. It is for all these great qualities of the person, life and teachings of Muhammad that Mikhail Hart, in his book, The 100, a ranking of the most influential persons in history, New York, 1978, adjudges, and I quote, Muhammad the greatest. It is this unparalleled combination of secular and religious influence which I feel entitles Muhammad to be considered the most influential single figure in human history. My choice of Muhammad to lead the list of the world's most influential persons may surprise some readers and may be questioned by others, but he was the only man in the history who was supremely successful on both the religious and secular levels. With this quotation, gentlemen, my lecture today comes to an end. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. And we sent thee not save as a mercy for all the peoples.
محمد يا أحمد يا حامد محمود يا قاسم يا فاتح يا شاهد مشهود يا بشير يا نذير يا رشيد يا رسول يا طه يا مصطفى يا رؤوف يا رحيم محمد يا أحمد يا حامد محمود يا قاسم يا فاتح يا شاهد مشهود يا بشير يا نذير يا رشيد يا رسول يا طه يا مصطفى يا رؤوف يا رحيم. محمد يا أحمد يا حامد محمود يا قاسم يا فاتح يا شاهد مشهود يا بشير يا نذير يا رشيد يا رسول يا طه يا مصطفى يا رؤوف يا رحيم. صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى الله على محمد صلى الله
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Gentlemen, I am going to talk to you about the teachings of Islam, more than honest. An honest man, as the saying goes, is the noblest work of God. Muhammad was more than honest. He was human to the marrow of his bones. Human sympathy, human love was the music of his soul. To serve man, to elevate man, to purify man, to educate man, in a word, to humanize man, this was the object of his mission, the be-all and end-all of his life. In thought, in word, in action, he had the good of humanity as his sole inspiration, his sole guiding principle. He was most unostentatious and selfless to the core. What were the titles he assumed? Only two: servant of God and his messenger. Servant first and then a messenger. A messenger and prophet like many other prophets in every part of this world, some known to us and many not known to us. If one does not believe in any of these truths, one ceases to be Muslim. It is an article of faith with all Muslims. Looking at the circumstances of the time and the unbounded reverence of his followers, says a Western writer, the most miraculous thing about Muhammad is that he never claimed the power of working miracles. Miracles were performed, but not to propagate his faith, and were attributed entirely to God and his inescrutable ways. He would plainly say that he was man like others. He had no treasures of earth or heaven, nor did he claim to know the secrets that lie in the womb of future. All this was in an age when miracles were supposed to be ordinary occurrences at the beck and call of the commonest saint, and when the whole atmosphere was surcharged with supernaturalism in Arabia and outside Arabia. Islam, a complete way of life. It is the same practical character of the teachings of Prophet Muhammad that gave birth to the scientific spirit that has sanctified the daily labors and the so-called mundane affairs. The Quran says that God has created man to worship him, but the word worship has a connotation of its own. God's worship is not confined to prayer alone, but every act that is done with the purpose of winning the approval of God and is for the benefit of humanity comes under its purview. Islam sanctifies life and all its pursuits, provided they are performed with honesty, justice, and pure intents. It obliterates the age-long distinction between sacred and profane. The Quran says, if you eat clean things and thank God for it, it is an act of worship. It is a saying of the Prophet of Islam that a morsel of food that one places in the mouth of his wife is an act of virtue to be rewarded by God. He who is satisfying the desire of his heart will be rewarded by God, provided the methods adopted are permissible. A person who was listening to him explained, O Prophet of God, he is answering the call of patience. He is only satisfying the cravings of his heart. Forthwith came the reply, had he adopted the unlawful method for the satisfaction of his urge, he would have been punished. Then why should not he be rewarded for following the right course? Discipline and equality. Edward Gibbon and Simon Oakley in History of the Saracen Empire, London 1879, page 54 says, and I quote, I believe in one God and Muhammad the Apostle of God is the simple and invariable profession of Islam. The intellectual image of the deity has never been degraded by any visible idol. The honor of the Prophet has never transgressed the measure of human virtue, and his living precepts have restrained the gratitude of his disciples within the bounds of reason and religion. Scientific orientation, a legacy from Muhammad. The Quran says, the God Almighty did not create the heavens and the earth and all between them merely in idle sport. We created them